Hi crew, welcome to Healthy Society. I'm Larissa and I'm just here to talk about whether you know what you're consuming or not in food and perhaps what you can do about it in today's world. What solution have we got for you? There we go. Okay, so if you don't know what you're consuming, who does? Do you reckon maybe these people have some ideas about what goes into our food or onto our food? Dun dun dun. Bit of a good question, isn't it? What about these people? I think they might know what ingredients are in our foods on the shelves, but the question is, do you actually know what these foods are? So who am I? This is a cool one. Do you reckon you can guess this? I'm enjoyed by as many as a refreshing sugar-free drink. My brand is well recognised and I'm advertised as only having 4 calories. My ingredients are carbonated water, food acids 330, 331, natural flavours, sweeteners 950, 9552 and 951, natural colour from safflower extract and preservative 211. Do you know what all of those things are? They also made my can opening so that you can slam me down faster. Any clues? We are looking at Solo. 0. So there's no sugar in this one, as you can see in the ingredients there. But let's have a little bit more of a look at the sweeteners. Have you ever heard of these before? Sweetener 950, acesulfame potassium. It's 200 times sweeter than sugar, and it's also reported to cause leukemia and tumours in animal studies. It is also banned in substances for infants. All 3 of these are. The reason why that is because aspartame is made from aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methanol. Do we know what methanol is? It's a byproduct of alcohol or ethanol fermentation, and it's the part in moonshine you might have heard of that makes people go blind. Breaks down to form formaldehyde, and as we have a little look here at one of the science websites on what poisonous alcohols are, formaldehyde is listed there. In the breaking down process, it's highly poisonous and can really actually lead to blindness and death. Wonderful. Some people might recall back in the war times, the soldiers, there was a lot of soldiers that actually died from Coke Zero, from it heating up and, that happening, them becoming blind and dying. Calcium cyclamate is believed to be a potency for other carcinogenic foods, so it enhances the carcinogenesis of other foods that are found to be carcinogenic. Wonderful. Anybody like a glass? I will pass, thank you. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Has anybody ever heard of carmine? Food colouring, red. It's actually from these bug beetle shells ground up nice and fine. Red pigment or dye that can be derived from insects. It's this parasite is, this beetle is known as a parasite to the cactus plants, and we often find it in South America and Mexico. And actually recently they were trying to get the food labelling to say that anything that contains it currently can be listed as having natural colorant in it because, beetles are natural. But they've sort of gone, no, we're not going to label that it contains beetle or insect. We're just going to stick with natural. So when you see any of these things, carmine 5297, carmine ultrafine, carminic acid, acid lake, natural red 4, this is one I've seen a number of times, E120, it belongs to, or it is, this beetle ground up. Wonderful. Why does this matter? Let's have a look. So they did some studies on toxicity assessment of carmine in the thymus gland, thymus DNA. The thymus gland is where your T cells are made from in your immune system. And basically they just found that where the carmine targets the DNA and ultimately breaks its backbone. Doesn't sound too good. So I'll pass on that one too. But let's have a little bit more of a look. Identification of carmine allergens among 3 carmine allergy patients back in 2001. They found it to be quite readily causing allergy reactions in people, and at quite small amounts too, of 5 milligrams per kilogram of body weight isn't a lot. And the point is it's very easy for people to experience allergic reactions to this red colorant. And this is what it's listed as I said before. There's also been research of the carmine with nervous system disorders as well, which I couldn't find the research article for again. But I'll pass on that one too. So identifying ultra-processed foods, because we're talking about ultra-processed products here. They really don't have a good outcome for inside the body. So food manufacturers also don't have to state, as we just saw with the carmine, they don't have to state exactly what it is. So natural food colour just doesn't really cut it for people to figure out actually what they're eating. So often I like to stick around this group 1 up here. That's where it's safest. You've got your straight up fruits, vegetables, and your animal products, and you know what it is. Whereas down the other end, things in packets, things from all those companies that I showed you back earlier, do you know what any of those are? Do you know what any of that stuff in the Solo was? And do you know what it actually does? So let's just go with what you know. So some good food swaps here. Even if you're having a sandwich still, choose some proper cheddar cheese, not those plastic looking cheese slices. That's just a step 1. Go with some bread that looks like real bread that's made in traditional processes like souring from an actual bakery, rather than getting stuff that has been sitting on the shelf for who knows how long, has who knows what in it to make it sit on a shelf for a long period of time. And, just go with the most natural swap outs that you can to start with would be a good place to go. But obviously, we would ideally want our foods to look like this. This is as natural state as possible. This is generally a shop of ours. We know what all of that stuff is there. We know what all the ingredients are, and so we know what we're putting into our body because we want to function at our best. Here's a little bit more of a clincher research done recently. I think this was 2019. They found that consumption of ultra-processed foods like we're talking about, as we see down here, that they pretty much conclude that every 10% increase in the proportion of ultra-processed foods in the diet was associated with a significant increase of greater than 10% risk of all breast cancer. This is 3 large prospective cohorts. Studies found that colon cancer, much higher risk of colon cancer for men, and some subgroups of women who had comorbidities as well. So if you have comorbidities and you're eating a whole lot of ultra-processed food and you're a woman, then you're at higher risk of colorectal cancer. Or if you're male and eating a whole lot of ultra-processed food, you're at higher risk of colorectal cancer. So again, I think that's a pretty good argument to avoid. Again, this is a recent study. So we need to reset that, guys. We need to just make a decision to clean that crap out. And this is why we chose to do a 21-day reset. Because the mentality around doing a detox versus a reset, really, you go, I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to do a 3-day or a 5-day or a 7-day detox. And what happens after that? It doesn't catalyze any change, does it? You go, I'm going to go and drink these juices for 7 days. And then at the end of it, I'm going to go back to eating what I was eating before. So it's not a reset. It's not a kickstart to the improved way that you're going to live. You're not going to just catalyze the improvement in health that a reset is going to do. So this is why we developed the reset, was to catalyze that health improvement for people. Because if you want to lose 10 kilos, 20 kilos, get back to feeling fit and fantastic again, it's not going to happen with a 7-day detox. It's going to happen with resetting your body, your metabolism, and your mindset to continue on with the journey that you need to conclude that goal and the improvements in health. So it's to open up your thinking about food. We're here with a fully supported reset that goes for 21 days to help you understand what you're eating and the effects it has on your function. If you understand what this stuff is doing, are you going to go and look for that E120 now in your food and in products that you see on the shelf? I'm just not going to consume that stuff anymore. I'm going to make that choice. That's just not something that Larissa does anymore, is consume E120. And that's the decision that you have to make for yourself. But often you can't make the decision if you don't actually know the information. So we're here to deliver it to you, and we're going to support you with any ideas and support that you need to be able to implement those things and problem solve as you make changes in your life, and how that looks and what needs to be navigated there. We need to know what homemade fresh is always worth the time and effort. That you know what's in your food, and you know what you're feeding yourself, you know what you're feeding your family, and you'll see that these little changes done consistently will make a big difference. If you have a whole lot of 1% things that you do, and you do 21% things, all of a sudden you've got 20%. And that's a really big change. So never underestimate the small little things. And think about what you're feeding and providing to others. This is really important. Like, are you giving children that calming when their nervous systems are developing and they're growing and developing their brains? It might be undermining their development. What about your loved ones? Are you giving them the gift of health or poor health? Something to think about. So we want to support you so that you can actually have these things on flow and support your family better and support your children's growth better, so that we've got our next evolving society coming through being strong, smart, and more resilient as well. So what's included? You get the pre-tox. We do preparation, education, and organisation ahead of the start date. That's aimed to be on the Friday before we start the detox on the Monday. We run through the personalised detox together, so we'll be there with you all the way. And optimization of nutrition and lifestyle comes at the end, where we're improving your performance and honing in those things that we've just learned. So who's it for? Well, pretty much anyone. If they just feel like shit and they want to feel better, if they're achy, tired of feeling tired, you want to exercise but you don't have the energy to, or your body keeps breaking down every time you do, or it gets constantly inflamed. There's the stubborn fat loss that we need to kickstart, the fat metabolism a little bit, brain fog, feeling old, but you know that age is just a number, constantly ill. And for those people who don't feel right, despite their blood tests being normal. So, bit of social proof for you. Here's a few testimonials from people just about our nutrition, about the health type assessment, really helping people feel like their prescriptions are individualized. That's their nutrition prescription, and their outcomes by personalizing everything to their health type. It's much more succinct, and you don't have any guesswork to worry about. I know for me personally, it's really helped to know, what time of day is okay for me to exercise and not, and what time of day should I be really focusing on getting my nutrition in, or should I be focusing on avoiding that snack at this time, because actually being hungry at this time is telling me that my blood sugar is not right, rather than just going and eating and saying, oh no, it's fine because I've got a healthy snack. But actually it's telling me that I'm not actually getting the nutrition out of my food, so something else is at play. So these things are all really, really important to understand yourself as an individual and shift away from a stamped out health advice, especially when it comes to nutrition. Everybody's food is medicine, and everybody's medicine is just as individualized as themselves. So I'll leave you with this quote, guys. If we really are what we eat, then don't be cheap, fast, or easy.